welcome to the Business Shower Podcast, episode 003. I am your host, Kelly Edwards. This is the Business Shower Podcast for business owners to shine. So today I have a very special guest, my very good friend, AJ Santana.
Hi,
he's
everybody.
a real estate investor friend, and, we're going to talk to AJ today. So, AJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm good. We're surviving in these crazy times.
For sure. And we're here working on a Sunday night.
Exactly.
You already know.
Okay, so AJ, tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
All right. So again, my name is AJ Santana. I'm at this point a full-time real estate investor. I've committed my entire schedule to learning and investing, buying and selling real estate. And who am I and what do I do? Yeah, so that's who I am.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so AJ, how did you get into real estate and what made you get into real estate full time?
So I would say this started in college. I've been graduated from Ramapo University for about, I would say, 2 years now. And it kind of dawned upon me that like my life was about to begin, so to speak, right after college. I was like, am I really about to get this 9-to-5 lifestyle, or am I going to try to figure something out for myself? So I was always dabbling into stuff like e-commerce, for example. But then finally I was like, what's the real like wealth generator? And that's like during my research, I found, real estate investing, wholesaling specifically. So down the rabbit hole I went, and that's how I kind of got started.
Okay, awesome. So what type of experience did you take from school that helped you in your real estate career?
For sure. So for those who don't know, I graduated in information technology management. So anything having to do with computers or technology or building systems, that's totally my domain. So in terms of what school taught me was really how to structure the business and stay organized. And I don't think without my like tech side of my mind, I would have really implemented that for myself.
Okay. So what made you want to take the entrepreneurial path?
I would say, right, like kind of before, like the time was kind of dwindling down. So it was something really enticing for like a way to, create my own story, so to speak. And, there's also a lot of influence, like you can't lie. There's a lot of influence on social media to say like, you see, the time the financial independence, the time freedom and all the other perks of entrepreneurship. And you kind of start to wonder, like, can I create this for myself? And then you kind of catch like this bug. And then once you catch a bug, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So AJ, You mentioned your story. Okay. So What is your story? Because, everybody wants to know what your story is, like how you were thrown into this about a couple months ago. So tell us your story.
Okay, cool. So I ended up graduating college, right? Awesome. I made my mom proud and all that, super generic stuff. So then next was getting a 9-to-5 job. So, I was putting out my feelers for that. Long story short, I ended up getting the 9-to-5 job. So, I had that ideal life. I had a job, I had a diploma. I'm a young kid. I'm a man of color in the tech field. Like, there were a lot of things going for me, so to speak. And the salary thing too, and the benefits and all of that. Mm-hmm. You get the point. So
everything that comes with corporate America. Yes,
exactly. So I had all the freaking all the boxes checked off in terms of that stuff. And then everything was going great. I was getting pay raises, all that stuff, going up and up. And then boom, 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 2020 like hit, and all the unexpected occurrences, but most specifically COVID hit. And it was funny, like I was holding on for a thread there for a bit. Obviously there were massive layoffs and the unemployment numbers were record breaking, but I was deemed quote unquote an essential worker. I was the only tech manager managing I would say like an office of about 20 or 30 agents. Quick backstory, it was like a company in the financial industry. So there were a bunch of like agents doing cold calls out to businesses, just so you kind of get like a scene of the environment I was in every day. So definitely like the cubicle lifestyle type stuff. Okay. Anyway, so because I was the only IT manager managing this office of 20 to 30 people, I was deemed essential. But then like, you know, COVID only ended up getting worse and worse and worse. And long story short, I got laid off. My job was relocated to another individual in, where the hell was he? Not Nicaragua. Where the hell was he? Oh, Ukraine. He was in Ukraine. So you know how that goes. They, you know, they'll delegate your task, you know, abroad, so to speak, because they could pay the same individual less for the same skill set. Long story short. So, you know, now everything I worked for went to waste, or so to speak, you know, like at least in terms of like the timeline I had for myself. You know, next came the house and the car and all that stuff. But now all that was on the back burner because I was now unemployed for the first time in my life. And I had no clue what that meant. You know, it was a wave of emotions, and, you know, it was very new to me. So luckily for me, like I mentioned before, ever since college, I was always dabbling in ways to make, you know, a living for myself, not always depending on the system, so to speak. So I felt like this was a blessing in disguise. And, you know, when one door closes, another door opens. So like I was getting all these signals to like, you know, just go, you know, go deep, just go for it, full send, just commit all your time, your entire schedule, all of your energy into real estate investing. You've been dreaming about it for all these years. Now it's your opportunity. So that's exactly what I did. I kind of just like listened to my intuition and my gut there. And I would say, so come November is my first year, like my year anniversary in real estate investing. And knock on wood here, but next week I'll acquire my third property. So I would say it's been like thanks. I would say it's been like a successful year. You know, I'm not your average, like made $100,000 in 30 days kind of story. But, you know, the real, I guess, storyline for me is that it took me 1 year to acquire 3 properties. And that's acquisition. We haven't done disposition yet. So, you know, I don't want to lose any viewers here with like talking too technical, but essentially we just have to sell the house that we just bought. And that, you know, I'll keep it at that. Okay. So, you know, I've acquired assets, and then, you know, next year, looking forward to liquidating them. So like 2020 is the year of planting seeds, and then 2021 is the year, you know, bear the fruits of my labor. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So that's kind of my story to answer the question.
Okay. But in all fairness, right? You were, so you started learning real estate investing in November. You didn't get into it full time until when? Until
COVID. So, how many months is that?
Yeah. And you inquired. Yeah, exactly. So you inquired those 3 properties during the worst, allegedly, economic time in our you know, in our generation, because we weren't here the last time this happened. But
yeah, I hear you.
You you acquired 3, so that's good.
It's just like, you know, the other lifestyle was super time consuming. I remember back then we used to have classes in what is that, Elmwood Park over there. For all the viewers, we're over here in North New Jersey, just so we know that. All right, cool. So Elmwood Park over here. I remember I would get out of my 9 to 5. Well, it would never be 5, right? Because then like you're frowned upon if you actually leave at 5. So I get out like 9:45, and then I would try to make real estate class in Elmwood Park by 6:30. So then I would, and you know, it was about a 30, 40, 45 minute drive. So I would come on time or late every time. But like, it's the best that I was able to do at the time. And, you know, I guess everyone understood that. And then like, that's when my night would actually start. It would start then, and then it wouldn't end till like, I don't know, 9:30. And then we end up networking till 10:30. and then, I get home, have to, decompress, shower, eat it. And then, I'm in bed by like whatever, midnight or 1 a.m., all to wake up. Oh my God. And do it again. That was the worst cycle ever, but that was the grind. Yeah. That was the grind for a while. And I don't know, I guess it was those like after hour, meetings, so to speak, or like masterminds at the classes that really, sparked my, my good habits and like my systems and processes and learning everything.
Okay. Awesome. So with that being said, right, what do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur?
I would say right now I'm digging the time freedom. I'm not going to lie. I don't really start my day. I don't know if this is good or bad. I mean, I don't really start my day till like noon.
Okay.
And I'm not to say that that's when I wake up. I'm up at 9 a.m. doing other things, self-development, exercising, etc. But I walk in the office like at noon, and that's totally like a different, mindset than where I was coming from before. So definitely time freedom right now. I'm digging it. Okay. And next is location independence, but we can't go anywhere because of COVID. So I'll work on that next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. Okay, so what's the hardest part?
The hardest part about entrepreneurship, I would say, it would be like the inconsistencies. Like nothing is ever really promised. I'm just going to keep comparing everything to the 9 to 5. 9 to 5, you get that paycheck. Like, whether whatever happens, you're going to get that paycheck, whether you had a good week or a bad week. That X amount that you agreed upon with your boss is coming to your bank account. That's not so much with the entrepreneur side. But the fluctuations make up with the different amount. Like you'll get much more in a real estate transaction, obviously, than you would at like working a $60K a year job or whatever. So I guess you just have to like get used to not getting paid every Friday. But like once you get used to that, and then you get like those, lump sums, I guess it all evens out, so to speak. Yeah,
it does.
So the inconsistency for sure.
Okay. All right. So, what's your biggest pain point that you've been dealing with these days, with COVID happening?
So kind of indirect to business, but related to business, just self-improvement.
Okay.
There are times, like there are weeks where like I won't exercise, like I'll fall back into my old ways, so to speak. Hanging out late, and when I know I have like emails and messages to reply to, like doing the wrong thing. Like I feel like my biggest struggle right now is really just staying on top of myself. Like I was actually, before this podcast, it's like super nerdy of me, but I was like looking up like how to really optimize the Apple calendar. Like I was just trying to like see if there's anything. Yeah, I don't know. It might be just like entrepreneurial.
I think so.
Just stuff that we do. But I was like just trying to see like, can I either write it down? Because, once it's written down, it's like your intention. So like I want to either schedule it on my iPhone or my Mac or whatever, or write it down, like plan out my week. And I find that when I do that, I typically have better weeks. So, and so pretty much just like bringing myself to do self-development things like that is my biggest pain point right now. But I'm working on it.
We all have flaws, so we all have to work through them. So, all right. So 3 people who influenced you the most.
Ooh, okay. So, well, it's funny because like a person represents a group, so to speak. So can I just plug the group maybe instead of
the person? Group. Yes, plug it.
It started with TTP, which stands for Talk to People, which is a real estate group mainly on YouTube, ran by Brent Daniels, for those who don't know. Yes. So I got a lot of value from there. I would say, secondly, big shout out to the Creative Real Estate Club here in New Jersey. Yes. Head honcho there's Chuck Cohout and Linton Gentles over there. that's really when the action taken began for me, like really, getting black ink on paper. Couldn't thank those guys enough. And then the third one, that's a good one. What number are we on? Just so I could pull it up here.
Yeah, we're on 6.
6, I see it here. 3 people have influenced me. Can I say my mother? Is that weird?
Yeah, no, it's not weird. If she influenced you, that's fine.
I want to do one not business person or one group, right? So like for whoever's viewing this, I guess like your support anchor, I would advise to be your third influence. What's funny enough is, so our current office is in Hackensack, and my mom works 1 block over from our office. So like I see her like way more often now, back then before with my 9 to 5, like we go to lunch now and all that wonderful stuff. Aww. So, she totally supports me. So yeah, those would be the 3, TTP, Creative Real Estate Club, and my mom.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Sure. So the next question, what are some characteristics or skills that you feel are most important to leaders and business owners?
Characteristics, I would say accountability. Is that a characteristic? Yeah, I would say just like holding yourself accountable or having a partner who holds you accountable or a group. And then the skills, I would say organization, because at a point, a lot of acquisition becomes collecting and retaining information. So unless you have a way to organize that, you're not going to be able to do follow-ups properly. And like the whole structure of the business is going to be foundationally weak. So it probably will fall apart shortly. So I would say having like a structure there and accountability would be super important for startup leaders.
Okay, cool. So the next question, we know that entrepreneurship can be hard. Real estate could be most hard, right?
Absolutely.
How do you stay motivated in those difficult times?
Okay, so this was kind of taught to me by Brent Daniels and TTP and just other people, but having your why. So whether you have a vision board, which is another exercise that I did a while back, it's essentially taking ideas, words, pictures, and posting it up on what is that called? Not a chalkboard, the cork board, cork board with the thumbnails. Yeah, one of those boards. And the idea is like, by seeing those visions every day, like your, mind or spirit will gravitate to how to achieve that thing. So you put it in front of, your computer or as your iPhone background. And like, the universe will find its way, will make you find your way to it. Okay. So, a whole nother question what would be my why, but in short, having your, the thing that you're chasing after is what keeps you motivated during difficult times.
So I'm about to ask you that question now, right?
All right, cool.
What is your why? Like, what's your why?
So the one thing that I have never done really was really just travel, like really freely and independently, or, even if it's with someone else or a group of people. I'm like, full disclosure, I'm still in my hometown that I grew up in. I was born in Harlem, but right now I'm located in Fairlawn, which I've been here since like 2002. So like 18 years. So like spiritually, I feel really stagnant. So like my why right now is to really like move about the globe and the world. So until I can, I guess financially afford that, I'm just going to keep chasing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. So I guess in the future, when we interview AJ to catch up with him, he's going to be in Bali somewhere or in Bora Bora with the beach in the background. I'm going to be like, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. That's the idea there. Okay. That's what makes me smile really big,
Yeah. No, I know. Okay. So next question. So what makes you feel inspired to be your best self?
I think there's like a correlation. Like I was saying, like when I do exercise, there's good weeks. When I am my best self, I do find success or like more positive things attract to me. So like having a deep understanding of that, kind of inspires me, like, let me not be on my bullshit today. Let me like really show up to the plate, because I know when I show up to the plate, good things come of it. Let me make that phone call. Let me reply to that email. I know there's a positive thing on the other end, instead of, taking an extended nap or like blowing off a task, you had to do.
Yeah.
So just having faith in the positive result is what inspires me. I'm like, why not just do the right thing? Be my best self.
Exactly. And don't you feel good afterwards? Because like every time I call a lead and, I get good news at the end of the phone and they're like, come by, look at the house. I'm selling it. I'm like, feel so much better.
Yeah. I'm like, it's almost like a high, honestly. Like I want to do it again. Like that one great news leads to like, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's an effect, like where it just, it keeps rolling. And you just want to make the next call and the next call.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So what would your parents say that you do for a living?
That's funny. So I put out a video a couple months back. It was like I was helping out a buddy of mine who does videography, but he wanted to use me and my real estate journey as like the subject of the video. And even after producing that entire video, my mom watched it. She still couldn't explain what it was that I did. But like I mentioned before, we work one block away from each other. So we've been going out like to lunch more often. So I talk to her a lot more frequently and like give her the details of the deals that I'm doing. And I think she finally understands what it is that I'm doing. So how would she explain it to someone else? She says my son invests in real estate, but that's like a very broad term. Like that means a lot of things. Yeah. But if she had to explain it, she would say I invest in real estate for sure.
Okay. That's better than my mom. She keeps saying I'm an agent and I'm like, no, I'm not.
Oh, please. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Different side of the same coin. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, what's your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Okay. So, my biggest failure was a transaction that I lost $14,000 on. This was my very first deal, again, about a year ago. I was doing a remote deal in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. And I got the green light to go ahead because through the TTP group, I was able to network with an individual, Pete Christensen. He's a great guy out in Louisville. If anyone needs boots on the ground over there, but essentially he was my boots on the ground. So he would find the title company and all that stuff. Right? We had a JV agreement going on. Mm-hmm. What ended up happening is when we had the property under contract, we went to go market it, but we didn't cloud the title. Mm-hmm. So for those who don't know, that essentially means like I'm not really my agreement with the seller really isn't protected legally by anything. Yeah. So long story short, we ended up marketing this property and an individual falsely represented himself as my partner and renegotiated the terms with the seller and then ended up bringing that to close. Right? Crazy. I know. Fucking terrible. Yeah, big failure. So it was crazy. Like I ended up getting a reply from our marketing efforts, and this guy, he checked out. He was ready to close on this thing. Mm-hmm. I was super happy. So I called the seller up. I was like, yo, this week is the week. We're going to close. He's like, yo, we just closed like 2-3 days ago. What do you mean? And like my heart, like I was so many emotions, all of them, mm-hmm. Confused, scared, sad, everything. And he was like, yeah, you closed a couple of days ago. Your buddy came by and, we closed at the title company. And I was like, my buddy, like who, Pete? Like my buddy, Pete Christensen? And he was like, nah, this other name. And I was like, dude, that wasn't my partner. Like, essentially, me and that guy went through it. But I called my buddy Pete back, and like I told him the really bad news that like we got undercut from our own deal. And you know, he was super apologetic for it, because he was about like a year or two. Actually, I don't know how many years, but he was a bit more ahead of me. So like he was kind of taking the lead on the disposition side of things. So like I had full trust in him, and this is entirely not his fault. That is like not the point of this at all. I learned so much from the failures, obviously, in life. That's what happens. But long story short, the way to have avoided this would be to what I mentioned before, cloud the title, which is essentially like recording our deed with the title company, which puts us at position A. So if anyone were to try to get around us, like they literally can't, they would have to contact us first. So, you know, you're kind of protecting yourself there. So super long story short, I got undercut from my own deal about a year back. It was a huge financial failure, but the lesson from it was that cloud the title all the time, every time.
Exactly. I think that's everybody's first lesson, because that happened to me too.
Yeah. So it was a $14,000 lesson. It's more expensive, at least expensive for other people, but there are sharks in the industry, and they will eat the little fish.
They will. That's most definitely. Okay. So what's your greatest fear, and how do you manage it?
I would say it kind of like the other end of like going to school, getting a job, right? Like putting in all this work for it not to transpire into what I'm imagining it would. That'd be a failure of mine. But like honestly, so long as I stay committed and consistent, I mean, things, you know, knock on wood, seem to be going, you know, in the right direction. So I wouldn't want to like even manifest that. I wouldn't even want to speak like that. But, you know, I could definitely like, there's a fear of, you know, what if, you know, the money is not how you imagine, and, you know, not to say like it go all the way to like homelessness, but like, you know, what if it just was the same financial rut as, you know, the other lifestyle? Like that'd really be a disservice to me. Like I'd be really sad about that. So I guess I kind of fear that. And how do I manage it? Kind of goes back to like what inspires you to be your best self. Because I know like when I do show up to the plate, it's going to be a way better result. So let me just do that.
And always remembering your why. That's another one.
And remember the why. Yeah. So then the fear, like honestly, just fades pretty easily. And then like you're super lasered and focused.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. So what advice could you give someone wanting to pursue a similar career? What would you say to a newbie real estate? I'm a newbie real estate investor. You know, I'm not. But
yeah. I would,
tell me, what would you tell me?
Before I even tell them anything, I would challenge that thought, believe it or not. I would challenge, like, I don't know how specifically I challenge it, like with what questions, but like I would have a conversation to like really see if they're after like the shiny object syndrome, so to speak, or if they're really cut out for the, you know, how, like we say, like the late nights and the extra grinding. And if they're cut out for it, so to speak. Being that, you know, assuming that they are cut out for it, the advice that I would give them is so there's this one book, The One Thing. I forget who it's by. I do have my computer in front of me. So The One Thing by Gary Keller. Is that the right one here? The One Thing. Sorry. So shot. Yes, by Gary Keller. It's the title of the book is fairly intuitive, The One Thing, but the point being that throughout your journey, when you start this, you will get enticed to kind of go and deviate from the plan. Like there will be other ventures even that seem more enticing. Like, oh, why don't I become an affiliate for this and just make money that way? Or like, why don't I just start up this thing online? It'll come back to make sense. Like, you know, and then you end up like not going forward, so to speak. Exactly. So my advice would definitely be just like stay committed to the one thing that you set out to do. So if that is buying and selling real estate, just do that. Like give it, like, I don't know, whatever makes sense for you. I told myself I would give it 1 year. In 1 year, it's been pretty good. So, keep going, obviously, but stay committed to one thing. And do I have to tell them another thing? Let me see. What would I also tell them? I would tell them that isolation is where a lot of the growth happens. I noticed that, I guess I noticed that I hang out with different people maybe, or I don't hang out with as many people from a year ago. I guess people fade away or come into your life according to what you're doing, right? So I guess I'd kind of give this newbie a heads up with that. You might lose a friend or make a new friend, and probably something that you didn't want to go through, but that might happen, or a significant other or something. These are all things that are possible. So be prepared for that and keep your eye on the one thing. That'd be my advice to a newbie.
Exactly. Okay. Yep, because we both experienced both of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, so what are some of the resources that helped you along the way? So
some of the resources. So again, I'm super, meaning what? Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say the Creative Real Estate Club, and also different platforms that you use to help you out.
For sure. So again, being super technical, a lot of my resources are online. There are other resources that you can get, for instance, going to your county records department to get a list of data. That's a great resource. But for me, I prefer the online technical digital side of things. So my resources have been actually courses. That was something I wasn't doing maybe 3 to 5 years ago. Once I invested in my first course, I I understood the power of accelerated learning. I can get from point A to point Z in 60 days or however long it took me to digest this content, as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel or figure out this whole landscape for myself. Why not follow someone who's already been down that road? So once I felt comfortable with kind of investing in courses, or so to speak, investing in my own intellectual knowledge, that was huge for me. So I have a lot of information up here in my brain, and that's all due to investing in courses, joining groups, and just honestly being on Facebook a lot. I think they coined it your social equity, so to speak. Make sure people are aware of what you're doing, brand awareness and such like that.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So just piggybacking off of what you said, so you're basically saying that you invested in yourself education wise to learn how to become a real estate investor. I just want to get that.
Yeah, that is 100. That is 5,000% accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely attributed to my success as well. Again, I totally advise. Maybe that's even another thing that I would give advice to a newbie.
Okay.
Don't be scared to invest in content, because your knowledge is power. You can't really move forward or facilitate a conversation if you don't know what you're talking about. Exactly. So just invest in the topic so you know what you're talking about. It's super simple.
Exactly. Okay. All right. I just wanted to get that through to them. All right. For so sure. What is something unique that nobody knows about you or your business?
This is the hardest question in the world. I was thinking before I hopped on, I was trying to think of it, and I'm still gonna, all right, it'll come to me, because now I have to say something.
Okay.
All right. Something unique about me that no one knows. One of my products. Oh, here we go. So I'll elaborate on the e-commerce thing. I was an Amazon bestseller in college. So
you're right. I didn't know that.
Boom,
AJ.
Got you. So again, yeah, Amazon. I was looking for the whole entrepreneurial thing. So I came across this business model called Amazon FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon. So essentially, you're loading the products into Amazon's warehouse. You set up like the description on the back end, and when you make a sale, they'll fulfill the order for you. Right? It seems pretty simple. So the product was actually in the kitchen and dining niche. It was a cheese board, or like a cutting board. That was my product that became, top selling or best selling, whatever the hell they coin it. And the name of my business was Sierra Kitchen, which was, I took the Post Malone route and I just entered it into a name generator online. And that's exactly what came out. And how does it make me different from big brands in my industry? I understand a lot, like an overwhelming amount about e-commerce, and I have like no e-commerce businesses actively running right now. Like everything from like PPC, which is like pay-per-click, which is a form of marketing, to like product photography. Like I remember ordering like this product box that was like this nice white background that came with the LED, so you can get that perfect like front image on Amazon. So I was doing like photography, like editing at a point there. Then I was getting into like SEO, because you need all the keywords to like rank a certain way. It was bananas. It was a lot going on. But it's something that I did. It's something that I tucked away, and it's just an experience that I have, honestly.
Yo, I didn't know that. That was definitely a good one. I can't.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, what advice would you give someone that just wants to start a business today? Like any type of business.
I would tell them just take it super slow.
Okay.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Absolutely. The whole Nipsey Hussle mindset.
Hey.
Because pretty much it's super easy in this day and age. Like hop on my laptop right here and go to like Wix.com or Squarespace or WordPress, whatever. And like obviously like being technically inept or whatever, or no, inept would mean I can't do it. Being technologically like advanced or whatever, I could get a website up, and like honestly by tonight, it's like 8:00 by midnight, I can have like a full blown website, like a clothing store, if like I had the care to do that. But does that mean I have a business? Not necessarily, right? There are a lot of moving pieces, like I was saying before, like SEO or like marketing, and like until you have a grasp on how to juggle these pieces, it's you don't really have a business. So like for someone starting new, like don't rush into like getting a logo and building a website if you don't even really have a product or service that you're knowledgeable about, or like something that you're even passionate about. Yes. That's my advice.
Do your research.
Yeah, do your research and like be passionate about what you're doing, because it's going to be your life. Yes. It's not something that you're just gonna like, make $1 million in 6 months and like cash out. That doesn't exist. I think I've looked everywhere for it. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, AJ. So how can our listeners connect with you online?
I would say the best place would be Facebook. Just like my personal Facebook, AJ Santana. DM me would be the best way to get in contact with me. Okay.
All right, everybody. So that wraps up episode 3. Thank you, AJ, for joining us. And everybody have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.